Welcome to the Healthier Tech Podcast, the show about building a healthier relationship with technology. Now here's your host, R. Blank.
Today we're joined by George Shepard, an original pioneer in digital marketing and visionary behind 360 Summits. With more than 2 decades of experience and hundreds of virtual summits under his belt, George has influenced countless lives and helped shape the summit space as we know it. But beyond the strategy and systems, George is also a survivalist, a free thinker, and someone who's deeply focused on the future. His latest project might just be his most transformative yet, and I can't wait to get into it. George, we're really excited to dive in. Welcome to the Healthier Tech Podcast.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
So we'll start with the project that I think more of my listeners may already be aware of, which is 360 Summits. What is it, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so virtual summits have been around for a while. They used to be called telesummits or teleseminars way back when we used to use freeconferencecall.com and these phone bridges. You'd call in. It's kind of like the predecessor to the 900 number experience. If you remember going way back, like 30 years ago or something like that, like people would call in on party lines, and then they started saying, well, we should do this for business instead of personal, right? So they started doing that for business, and that became the teleseminar business. After that, it's turned into video. When video became more easy to use in general, and bandwidth and streaming became something that people started to dig into, they started to do these virtual summits. So we do virtual events, virtual summits. I've been doing it for about 20 years. I started out with the teleseminars. My first virtual event was for drummers, actually, because I lived out in LA and I knew a bunch of famous drummers. I'm like, I should just get these guys on a virtual event and teach other drummers like all the cool stuff and tell the stories of the road and, what are they practicing, what are they listening to and stuff like that, because I was really into that. And that's how it started in general. And then it started snowballing into some other areas. People started asking me, can I help them with their virtual events? And I started doing that. And that was kind of the birth of 360 Summits. When someone, a good friend, he became a very good friend after many years. He said he had an autism business, him and his wife, and he said, I need to get this message out to a lot of people. Can you help us with this? So I helped him with that, and they brought in so much money that he said, I've never had that much money in my account before. And he said, what you do is so different. You need to teach this stuff. Interestingly, another little pivot, like people tell you to do something, sometimes it's not always the best thing for you to do. So I was like, okay, so I spent 2 or 3 weeks and I put together a course on how I do virtual events and how I put 10,000 to 20,000 plus people or more, on these virtual summits. And then I launched it and I had 3 people buy it. And I'm like, oh, I'm a pitiful failure. This sucks. And then I called him on the phone. I said, just out of curiosity, like, well, tell me why you bought this and what's your plans, and like, what's your mission, and that type of thing. And I very quickly realized that they weren't going to do the work that it required, because I could teach all of the technical stuff, technology, and put it all together. But truthfully, people sometimes just say, well, can you do it for me? How much just to do it for me? So I pulled that off the market really fast, really fast. And then I said, well, tell you what I'll do. For X amount of dollars, I'll partner with you on it so that you got skin in the game. I've got skin in the game because I'm going to spend a tremendous amount of money doing this with my team, and let's just blow it out of the water. And that's how 360 Summits was actually the offer that we've had for the last 15 years or so has been, we partner with people to, make it rain. Yeah.
Why'd you pull it off the market? Sounds like a great lead generator.
Well, the first thing is I didn't want people to be like, I bought that thing and it doesn't work. This guy's just one of those internet scammers. I'm like, I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the Lambo guy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, because when I realized that they weren't going to do the work, patience, same thing. So those who are listening to the podcast in the video they're working with patients and clients and that type of thing. You know sometimes when they're just not going to do the work.
Yeah.
And when they're going to look at you and blame you for it. Because it's way easier to say it was that guy, or the system was flawed. It's not me. And that's what I wanted to avoid, because I'm like, the system is not flawed. It really, it crushes it for people who just do it right, and I could teach that all day long, but when it comes down to it, I think the best thing to do is just like, hey, let me hold your hand through it,
Yeah, yeah.
and let me blow it up for you. And then if you want to take, I've had at least 3 people that I've worked with over the past several years because I don't run the agency model. The agency model is kind of like, if anyone's ever done that, you become a doormat really fast for people, and you become like a second tier citizen and a slave, and it's just not fun, right? Because they don't respect you because they're paying you to do this just job for them. So we like partnerships a little bit better. But I've actually released a lot of people from our agreements and being like, hey, look, I built everything out for you. Here you go run with it. Because they said, well, they want to do something a little bit different, or maybe they want to do it in house. Because when they see how much money you can make from these things and how much impact, and sometimes they don't want to share that. That's the whole little. I wouldn't say it's greed, because there's still a lot of good people that I'm working with, but I want to make it really easy to connect and really easy to disconnect. I don't want to be dragging anchors behind me, and I think that's been one of the reasons why we've been able to be so successful and be able to pivot and be nimble, is because we're not dragging a bunch of people behind us, kicking and screaming. Even though we're dragging them across the finish line, it's still they're kicking and screaming, and you can only drag so many of those people.
And so for the brand or the content creator, you offer a done for you service, and for the consumer, you offer free education.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like on what kinds of topics?
I mean, we've done lots of stuff. So autism, we've done a number of different autism summits. We've done women's pelvic floor stuff, feminine health. We've done biohacking, sleep, holistic sleep specifically. I'm trying to think this. There's so many cancer. We've done cancer survivors, not just cancer, holistic cancer. And that's just the health side, right? And in the business side, we've done underground. We've done the one called Epic. So a lot of business stuff, like high level internet marketing things, how to sell high ticket, whole summits around that, PR. We've done the drum summit. We've also done survival. So I'm in the survival space, been in that space for quite some time. So we did the survival summit a number of times. Sustainable community summit. It pretty much works in every industry as long as there's a hungry audience and they're willing to invest in solving their problem. Even though it's free, right?
Yeah.
They still have to be willing to invest the time.
Right. And hopefully some money one way or another.
Well, hopefully that's the idea, right? What's interesting though is 10%, like our conversion rate for people who attend free, like they can opt in, they can listen to everything for free. No holds barred. It's not like you get 15 minutes and if you want the rest, like we don't do it that way, right?
Right.
It's like you can listen to everything for a full 24 hours. And if you miss it, or you're going to miss some of the stuff, or you just don't want to cook your seat because you're going to be in there for 6 hours watching stuff all day, and then you can just go ahead and buy the recordings as what we call the VIP pass. But 10% on average of the people who register for the free summit will just buy the VIP pass. They'll just buy the recordings. So when you deliver, and you just keep on delivering really, really good information, people are like, holy cow, if this is free, then the paid stuff's got to be that much better. Or they just want to reciprocate, So I always say, like, lead with your best stuff, and give it away freely. And we're entering into a new part of the economy where I think that information products are going to be gone. To a certain degree. I'm not going to, put my foot in my mouth and say they're going to be gone forever. But there's so much content that AI is creating, and it's actually getting better. It's getting pretty good, and it's fast. Like you can give it very specific situations. Like even in the medical space, you can, feed in all of your biomarkers, fairly soon, if not already, and it can give you the perfect, bio-individual weight loss diet. And it's just like, what? And that would just take forever, and it'd be so expensive to have a coach or a doctor sit in the office. If you can even get a doctor's appointment past 5 minutes, to figure that stuff out.
So where do you think if it's going away, or at least radically changing, the need for this type of information and education isn't going away. So where do you think your industry is heading?
For a while now, I've thought a lot about just giving everything away for free, publishing it on YouTube. And I truthfully have been scared to do that because it's hard to dial it back. Like once you give all your stuff away for free, even though we're giving it away for free anyway, we still kind of control the custody of it.
You give it away for free in really limited windows. Yeah.
Yeah, in limited windows. And then they can also opt in to we get the email address so we can communicate with them. Like, here's the links, here's some more information, here's the next steps that you can take, kind of thing. So if you put it up on the internet and it just blows up, then it's there forever. People can download it really pretty easily from YouTube. And I made the mistake a long time ago. So I was in the drum space, with drum.com and some pretty cool drum stuff a long time ago before I started the summit business. And one of our competitors, which was kind of a friend a little bit, and then I started looking at him more as a competitor because he took an idea that I had. He just acted on it faster. He didn't steal it from me. He just acted on it faster. He put everything out on free on the YouTube. And I saw them go from literally making a few $1,000s a month in a business, selling how to play drums kind of stuff, to making $1 million a month, over like a 5 to 10 year window. So that was kind of like an eye opener and a smack in the face at the same time, like wake up, wake up. So when I started seeing the AI stuff come out, I'm like, okay, it's time to make the pivot. So we've been pulling back a little bit as far as what we're doing, as far as partnering with a lot of other people. We only partner with a certain amount of people now, for really big blow it out of the water events. Which anyone can do. You don't have to be a megastar already to do a really great event that just touches so many people's lives. But we're going to be putting a lot of stuff out on the internet at this point in time, probably through YouTube channels, podcasts. There's so many different video services and streaming services now, and just give it away to the world, and not really ask for anything at all in return, which is a little scary.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it's just a little scary, but I don't see any other way around it. I've seen people do that a number of times, and it ends up working out in their favor because people get to know the brand, people get to actually connect, and they'll search you out. Like, you don't have to be some fancy marketing wizard to say, DM me something in the messages, and then I'll send you a free report. You can do that, but give something else of value. So what we're probably going to do is take notes from the different interview topics and the stuff that we do for the summits, and we'll give those away for an opt-in inside the description space.
Like companion guides or handouts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because we found
Cool.
also that a fast start, quick start, manual, companion guides, because people don't literally want to sit through 12 hours worth of stuff a lot of times. They want to pull nuggets, and
they want Notebook LM to turn it into a 5-minute podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But you can also take the transcription now, like with Otter or any of these transcription engines, and upload it into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me the highlights. Give me the TLDR version of this. So they're not even listening to all the content anymore.
Doesn't Otter? Otter has the ability to do it itself now too, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't even need ChatGPT. You just say, tell me what this is.
It just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as smarter. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to drop a bomb on everybody.
Okay,
hopefully,
cool.
Hopefully this doesn't shake the foundations of what people are thinking, but this is going to cause some people some problems. Anyone who hasn't read the AI 2027 report yet should look up AI 2027 and read the report.
So this gets into both your interest in AI and survivalism.
Yeah. There's a really great video from a younger guy, I forgot his name, where he really breaks it down and does some visuals about the AI 2027 report. In gist, here's what, and the dates might be a little off on this, but here's in gist what's going to happen. And I believe it's correct because every single timeline, because they wrote this report earlier in the year. They wrote this report.
This year? I thought it was earlier than this year.
It might have been last year.
I might be wrong.
But I thought it was. I heard about it earlier around April, and I don't know if it was around March or April. It might have been a little bit earlier than that, even 2024. The gist is that they've hit every single timetable for AI as far as the predictive model. And we're going into a space where AI is going to become better than humans. It's not better than humans yet. It's faster than humans. Yeah. No question about that. As far as archiving information, but it hallucinates. It gives you stuff that it just makes stuff up, like a little kid.
So do humans. Yeah.
Yeah. You ask a kid, what'd you do? It'd be like, it'll make up some stuff. The little kid will make up some stuff so it doesn't get in trouble. I would say, I think it's something like 2026, end of 2026, AI is going to start programming its own code. And it's going to be writing in a language that we don't understand because our brains can't think like AI can think. It's going to become that good at coding itself. It's going to start coding its own next generation software. Right now, we're coding it. So we still have the power to pull the plug, but it doesn't like that. It's already been proven that when you try to pull the plug on AI, it starts duplicating itself and inserting itself into other programs. It's becoming self-aware. all that Skynet stuff and Terminator stuff, like that's not too far from reality. Truthfully, the timeline table was off with that movie, but it's not too far off from reality. In 2027, it's going to become um, AI, artificial general intelligence, which
Hmm.
means it's not just going to be better than humans. It's going to be better and be able to dissect and digest and spit out more information in any human lifetime, like the entire human history. It's going to be able to understand it and like this, give you information. But here's the good. There's good and there's bad. The bad part, which I'll lead first with, is there's going to be a massive job loss. We're already seeing it. Anyone who's in a clerical situation, businesses like accountants, but truthfully, like the last time that I actually had to use a lawyer to do a contract, I don't remember when it was. Most of my stuff is done now in AI, and because I can read contracts pretty well,
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
No,
holy cow.
I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And I'll ask it sometimes, like, hey, do some research on the most uh, perfect morning routine, and I would give it my situation,
Yeah.
and it comes up, it drafts a morning routine, and it cites like where it's getting this information from, because I ask it to cite, so I know it's not hallucinating and just making stuff up. Workout programs, best sleep schedule, I mean, you name it, right? So that's where this information business is going to start changing. For example, we did our holistic sleep summit, which was a great summit, one of our better summits, because there's a lot of people that suffer from sleep, and if you don't get enough sleep, your life is bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just bad, it's dangerous. You could
Yeah.
be
No,
driving
I've
and
just
fall
been
asleep at the wheel.
through a couple weeks where I was just telling you last night I actually slept, and it was the last couple weeks leading up until last night, and yesterday I was like, this has got to change.
Oh, it's terrible. You
Yeah.
feel like you're gonna die sometimes.
Yeah.
I used to be able to stay up all night for 2 or 3 days straight and just rock and roll with whatever when I was, like, teenager. You can't do that when you get up above 40. It's like I feel my heart pounding. I'm like, "Man, I gotta do some sleep here and just pass out."
Yeah,
I understand why
totally.
old people take naps now. I'm becoming that guy.
Yeah.
Um But with like, getting back to our sleep summit,
Mhm.
right? Coming up with a sleep routine that works, and even suggesting products that would work. For example, like blackout curtains or ambient noise. Because also, some people need ambient noise to sleep. Some people need dead quiet to sleep. It just depends. Like there's lots of different situations, but it's so bio individual. So the experts that are teaching that kind of thing right now, and along with being online for that stuff, people are going to start asking AI. I was on a couple podcasts, maybe 5, 6 years ago for people in the business space, and I made a comment that kind of blew up and went somewhat viral. Yeah, because he grabbed onto it. I said, "Watch Star Trek." He's like, "What?" They have this nerdy guy, right? Watch Star Trek. Everything that you've seen in Star Trek is coming true. I don't think that was science fiction. I think it was basically just like it was a history book that we got like early of our own history. Food replication, cell phones, right?
Mhm.
Clearly, this is like back in the 60s, right? 70s. This was a cell phone concept. We didn't have cell phones until like the 80s. Like that just didn't exist. Wireless technology like that. So many things are going to be something that's going to happen at some point in time soon. Think about how you interact with a computer. They never went to a key. I never saw anyone in Star Trek go to a keyboard. You know, they would be like, "Computer, do this." I talk to my computer now. I don't
I
use my
haven't
key.
done that. I haven't ChatGPT has a voice mode. I don't know. I
I don't like that one.
Yeah,
That's
I have
weird,
no
right?
interest. I much prefer typing like an old
So I'm
person
really fast
who
at
takes
speaking
naps.
something.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I open up
I've
a
noticed.
yeah. So I'll open up a thing called speech text. There's a website called speechtexture.com, totally free, very good voice transcription thing. It's free, and I just pull it up. I click the button, and I just speak. And I find that when instead of me typing very professionally to ChatGPT, when I just speak something to it, or Grok, it could be any of them, any of the LLMs, it understands me better. So I just speak to it like a human, like an actual person. You know, it's just I can get so much more done so much faster without having to touch the computer. And there's actually some apps too, and I think like a Chrome extension that you can do that stuff with. So you click on anywhere on your computer screen, you just speak, and it just starts transcribing it. And it's pretty good. Also, I've got the worst spelling. I don't even know how I graduated from high school. Truthfully, when I look back at things, I'll publish something. I've written a lot of books. And then when I actually write the book myself, I have all these typos come back, and people are like, "Hey, do you want me to help you with your editing?" I'm like, "Man,
Yeah.
oh, that's just not good." So, and I find that the transcriber actually does the proper spelling and grammar. Not so much grammar, but it does the spelling pretty well.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
even my emails, I might be in a little bit of a heated situation with someone, for example, maybe someone who owes me work or money or something, whatever the scenario might be, or it just didn't do me right, and I want to write an email to them. So I'll actually dictate what I want, load it up into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, could you rewrite this for me?
Yeah.
This is what I want to get out of this."
Make it less threatening, but more effective.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It diffuses situations, you know. So I mean, it's pretty interesting. Even the universal translators on Star Trek, that you can talk to any alien and they can understand you. That's the cinema magic type
Yeah.
of
And
thing,
that's
right?
already here too.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the cleaning lady who comes in, she speaks about 5 words of English, super nice lady, and she needs help from time to time with things, and she was like, pull her phone out, she like, and then she like, and then it speaks to me in English, and then I speak to it, and then that's how we communicate from time to time, you know? It's just really surprising, where it's coming, where it's going. So getting back to that idea of job loss, massive job loss, it's going to start with those administrative positions, things that are more numbers, data processing, things like that. But it's already happening. I talked to some people I know in the Philippines who do recruiting and VA work
Yeah.
for people, and they said we're already seeing it. People are not renewing their VA contracts. They don't need a VA. They got AI.
Yeah.
AI has
No,
become so good.
we now when we need to do something new, we figure out an AI workflow instead of figuring out what type of resource we need to fill. So, the team is the same. It's just the team can do so much more than it could a year ago.
Yeah, we went from having 22 people on our team down to like 5.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
and I kept
So
telling everybody, I'm like, learn AI, learn AI. I don't want to
yeah.
fire you. Learn AI, learn AI. I don't want to fire you. And they never did it. I think that they were either afraid that their job was going to be in jeopardy if they learned AI and they set up systems like I'm not going to need them anymore. And I'm like,
Hmm.
no, that's not the case. I want you to run 5 AIs.
Yeah,
So you can be
exactly.
5 times more productive. And that means we make 5 times more money, which means I can pay you more money. I can pay you 1.5 times.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. I mean,
Right. But that'd be great for them. And you could pretty much do anything anymore. Like there's no language barrier, which is also scary because there's a lot of scammers out there, which there's no language barrier anymore. Like
right.
you can usually tell when someone's scamming you, like the English is broken, it's a little funky, you
Man,
know.
so just as an because we've deployed AI as frontline of customer support at Shield Your Body, and unsurprisingly, we got some hate mail from customers. But I'm looking at it, and our average time to first I can't remember if it was time to first response or time to resolution. I think it both show same sorts of things, but it went from 14 hours before AI to 28 seconds after. And I mean, we had to invest a lot of time to train it properly, both in terms of subject matter knowledge and workflow preferences. But you put in that time, and I mean, that's so the customer experience of that is fantastic. If you can get your question answered in half a minute instead of a day and a half, that's massive.
There's phone AI now. We're deploying. So one of my other businesses is an AI business called Zarya. And with Zarya, we're deploying a new phone system where you can there's phone numbers. You can call in a phone number for customer service and it talks to you, the AI, and it's really good. It's the best one I've ever seen. Because the latency is really low, and you
Mm-hmm.
can also train it. There's a RAG database, right? Which means you can upload all of your previous chat history or email history. You can download all that stuff and put it up in there, and it learns all of the typical problems people have. You can actually program it to talk to you in a certain way. Like when I call the number, it recognizes my number on caller ID, and it says, "Oh, hey George, what's up?" Or "What's shaking?" Or "What you got going on?" Like I had it randomize the
Does it have
statement.
a
So I
southern
wanted to fill a
twang when it
human.
does that to you?
Huh?
Does it have a southern twang when it talks to you?
Uh, I should do that. But you
Yeah.
can change it, right? 'Cause it's 11 labs, right? So you can on the
Okay,
back end,
cool.
you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
change Southern. It can be English. It can be Indian. It could be you name it. Spanish. There's some pretty neat. Some of them sound really robotic. Some of the 11 labs voices,
Mm-hmm.
But you can also train it with your own voice. Tony Robbins is doing this. A number of like big gurus have taken their entire repository of information, and they've started to do this. I mean, interestingly enough, Michael Hyatt. I was in a chat with Michael Hyatt for a while. If you guys know who he is a big guru who does personal development stuff. Um, he was saying this was probably 2 years ago. He said, does anyone know of an AI that you can upload all of my books, all of my podcasts, blog posts, everything else, and it can help me write content and remember stories that I've told. It can make references to things because it would understand me and how I speak. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I think I have something for you. So that's just before the RAG databases were coming out. Like we've been with this software project, we've been about 6 months ahead of ChatGPT in every area. Like we create it, and then 6 months later, ChatGPT comes out with it. I don't think they're stealing anything from us, but it's just like I think God puts the same idea in 10 people's heads, and usually the first person who executes on that idea wins.
Yeah. The
Or the
second
second
person, the
right?
second person who invented calculus was at the same time as Newton.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think like anyone who ever hears that little voice in their head that says, you do something, just realize there's 9 other people that have that. Maybe 900 other people, depending on what
Yeah.
the thing is. But I don't believe it's random.
But so getting back though, Project 2027, that's kind of a bleak apocalyptic, if I recall correctly, that's kind of a bleak apocalyptic perspective on where we're going. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's not really about let's use 11 labs and make a great customer support system. It's
yeah. Well, so there's a limited amount of time for that, right? And
okay.
all the media companies have been consolidating down into like 4 or 5 companies. Same thing's going to happen for a lot of different businesses. Amazon has been cannibalizing everyone who's been a seller on Amazon, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, that product is selling really good. Let's go ahead and knock it off. And we've known about this for a while. We just see these people random pop up and find out it's Amazon selling and competing against people. Happens all the time, right? It's competition. But with AI, it's going to basically push a lot of people out of the market. I think that the unemployment numbers are not right. I think that we've been lied to for a very long time.
Well, they don't reflect people who've stopped looking for work.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's right off the bat.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. And by the way, too, inside of Star Trek, there is no money. All right.
Really?
People are allowed to do whatever they want to do for the good of mankind. They can pursue their own visionary, humanity or whatever the scenario is because they're taken care of. Now, AI was not really a really big thing in Star Trek. It was a little bit towards, like Next Generation, some of the other stuff, but it was just kind of like how that society evolved. They got rid of money because money caused wars and money caused all these other problems, I wish they'd get rid of taxation first, right? They need to get rid of that one. But the whole idea is like that's where we're going to be at. I think that we're going to end up having universal basic income because no one's going to want to work anymore. They're going to be like, what's the point? Young people don't want to work anyway. They just want to be Instagram, influencers and, do try on hauls and whatever the scenario is that they're doing next. Video gaming on Stitch,
Twitch.
what is it called? Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And they video game, like people can just sit there and watch for hours, watch people video game. But those big platforms make money on the advertising, right? So they collect your data and they sell stuff back to you. So they build a really, really good model. Now imagine if they took all that data that they know about you, Google, Facebook, YouTube, your buying behavior, your watching habits, your comment history, and they loaded that into AI. Now we've got a precognition scenario that is like what was that that movie Minority Report, right? With like, oh, you're gonna commit a crime. I'm telling you, that's coming. That will be something that's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna try to push that scenario. I don't know how long it's gonna last or if it's gonna last that long, but it's gonna happen. But getting back to this AI 2027 type of thing, there are certain areas where I think it's going to be hard to disrupt. But let me say this. Most people are like, if I ask you the question, what's going to be an industry that's not going to be disrupted by AI? Most people are going to say,
if you're asking me, yeah.
right?
Sorry, what?
people are going to say home services. Like, well,
Yeah,
AI is not
I
going to
was
get up
going
on
to
your
say
roof.
it depends. I mean, I'm assuming robotics are going to be a part of this. So I don't think even like Joe the plumber's job is safe.
Exactly. And I didn't think about this until someone brought it up to me. I watched a podcast from someone and it was like, they made the point. They said, well, if the roofer business or the plumber who AI is not going to get up there and fix your plumbing, right? If they're going to be safe, right? Everyone should go into the home trades. But the guy's like, well, whose house are you working on? You're working on the accountant, the lawyer, people that can afford to put a new roof on their house. Those people don't have a job anymore. Where's that money coming from? So they can't afford to do the home services. I'm like, I never really thought about that. It's a trickle down effect. Anyone in the financial space, like trading, like there's a AI summit that we're doing right now called the AI Trade Insider Summit. And they have successfully built an AI engine that trades at a 70 to 80 up to 90% confidence win rate in options trading. You're lucky in options trading to break 55%, 60% if you're really good. But this thing is winning over and over and over and over. And it's AI.
I was reading about a bot that I don't know how long it's been around. It's not brand new, but I was just reading it this week. And it was programmed, it can't be turned off, and it was programmed to trade based purely on overall Twitter sentiment. And it's generated annualized returns of 40%, which isn't 90, but it's pretty impressive. And
Yeah.
all it does is it can't be changed, it can't be turned off. All it does is trade based off of Twitter sentiment.
It's interesting because I do a lot of looking at the market, specifically crypto and things like that. I think there's a huge potential there. And over the last 3 or 4 years, I've been charting patterns. And what's really funny is I'll draw these lines. And no one talks about these lines that I'm drawing. I go to all these channels, I'm watching videos every day on like, where's the market going? Where's Bitcoin going? Blah, blah, blah. And no one's talking about these lines, but the market bounces off these lines every single time. I'm like, wow. It's just being able to do pattern recognition. So what you're saying is very interesting because Twitter's pattern recognition, right? The sentiment, like you could even look at moon phases. Certain moon phases, the market will drop. And it's just like, what? Because people get freaked out. They're like, oh, I got to take my money out. It's astrology stuff. They'll just take it out. And maybe the moon phases actually does affect things. Who knows? Like we're living in a simulation anyway.
It's
right?
Gravity. That's a fundamental force of the universe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So wait, but how does all this tie into end of employment?
About a year ago, I went deep with ChatGPT and Grok both, and I actually compared the two. I was like, Grok wasn't around a year ago, but I started doing with ChatGPT, and then earlier this year, I started implementing Grok and going back and forth with it. But I created the protocol for the pivot. So, hey, look, this is an information business that we're in, but I'm not the only one that's going to be hit. Consultants, anyone who's a teacher, I think teachers are also at risk of losing their job. There's a certain amount of like human component that people want to have, but then there's also like, I want my kid to be taught right, or whatever the scenario is. But what are jobs that are going to be
too?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So yeah.
What jobs are going to be safe? What should I pivot into? Here's all the assets that I have. Here's all the human resources that we have. Here's all the IP that we have. What do we do with this? So I started going deep and asking, and I took about a 2-month window and just kind of pulled back into a little bit of my shell, a little tortoise action on this, and just said, like, I'm not going to do anything new. I'm just going to focus on figuring the next move out. And I started like peeling back layers of the onion and figuring some things out. And what I discovered, I'm like, wow, I need to teach this to somebody because there's so many people who just don't take the time to figure out this type of thing. So earlier this year, I put together what I call the ADAPT method. There's 5 phases, 5 moves that everyone needs to take in order to survive the AI apocalypse. What's going to happen? Because it's going to be, it's not that far away, but there's people that are starting to feel it. It's like a cloud, like that starts to form on the horizon. You're like, I think it might rain, but it's still far away. You're like, I'm still going to like run around with my, top down and wind in my hair kind of thing. But it's coming. So I think that we're really going to feel it sometime end of next year and into 2027 through to 2030. The prediction has been 2030, there'll be 30% job loss. This was a prediction done 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I think that's completely wrong. I think it's going to be 80% job loss, 70 to 80% job loss. Some people are like, oh, you have to, every time they come up with a new technology that destroys everyone's job, they find a new job. Like there's a new things that, yeah, but no, I don't believe that. This time is different.
Yeah, the
And the
cotton
reason
gin
being,
couldn't build a better cotton gin.
yeah, exactly. Like there'll be things that we can do, but I think that, like you said earlier, you kind of alluded to the fact that there's some people who just don't want to work. Part of the video sales letter we put together for this thing was maybe we're asking the wrong questions. The question should be, do I need to have a job at all? Do I need to be employed? You know, Here's a radical statement for those who love network marketing. I think network marketing is going to save humanity. Strangely enough, like the crazy lady that ran around like putting makeup on people and or whatever the scenario is, or some fly by night company. There's a lot of companies out there who just they cashed out pretty quick and they go away. There's been a few that have been really, really good ones, but the model is based around peer to peer, doing business with each other. Going all the way back to Amway or before, even like way, way back when. And if you think about it, the people who buy products from other people, they typically will continue buying those products for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and because there's a business opportunity connected to it, if they share what they're doing or whatever else, they can actually earn not just free product, but they can earn some money. Then like disclaimer is the vast majority of people who try network marketing don't make any money. And there's a reason for that. They're lazy. I'll just say that straight out. It's because I've done some network marketing stuff and just blew it up. No problem. Sometimes the product's not very good and it's not overpriced. There's some of that stuff too out there. But most of the time, like you can crush it if you just go out there and hustle a bit. But that residual income is what saved me in 2020 when things just shut down. Like I was loving it. I was like, there's no traffic on the road. My income has not been affected. If anything, it's gone up because people are now looking for something they can do from home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was great. So I think that network marketing is something that it's very, very easy to get into. Everyone can start their own business. And I think we're going to go back to the place where we were in the early 1900s, where, 90% of the population had their own business or had some sort of a side hustle, and then after the Great Depression, everyone found that security was better than the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing if I was going to have food tomorrow because it's all about work and sales and everything else. I think we're going to go back to that because there isn't going to be any food. The big companies are not going to be able to keep you employed, and people are going to realize that they have to do this on their own. So that's one of the pivots that I suggest that people make in the ADAPT method. So it's broken down to 5 different books. Like each letter stands for a different acronym, of the ADAPT process. Like activate. The first one is like really teaching people the truth. I pulled back the curtain on a lot of things. The myths about the life that we live, about the Federal Reserve not being federal at all, about the income tax being completely illegal, or I should say never ratified properly, but it's just Social Security being a Ponzi scheme. Like I pulled and detailed, like ChatGPT helped me really pull the stuff together and cite references and detailed language and laws and put that in there so that people realize that this is not just me, you know, hallucinating on stuff. This is like legitimately what's going on, and there's certain people you can trust and there's certain people you just can't trust, and the government is one of those people that you can't trust, period. They're not in it for you. They're in it to get reelected. Unfortunately, that's where we've gone. I think 200 years ago, I think that they're in it for the people because no one got paid when they went to Congress. It
Right.
wasn't like that. Like now people become lifelong, Democrats, Republicans, independents, like they put labels on themselves and they fight against each other with the bread and circus. And all the time they're all like behind the scenes drinking in bars, and doing their own thing because they've got their own agenda. And they cook the books on the numbers. They're not going to let anyone know what's going on, because they'll just blame it on the other party. They like to blame everything on the other party. So I don't think it's just not going to get solved. The same level of thinking is not going to solve the problem.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
having
I
people.
certainly don't. I mean, I agree. Regardless of whether AI 2027 turns out to be right or not, we're clearly facing serious uh, societal upheaval from the changes that are already happening from AI, and the rate of change is only accelerating. And I don't have any confidence at all that this is going. We have the people in place in order to address this from a public policy perspective, and that really is the only thing that can address it. Because without it, it's going to be a market-driven approach, which is just every entity for itself and do
Mhm.
whatever you can get away with. And I certainly agree with that sentiment. So, but
Yeah.
then, I mean, just without going into all the details of the entire system, like how, like what's the approach to thriving? Because I assume what you're selling is a vision and a workflow for thriving in this environment,
Exactly.
not just getting by. So how does one go about thriving in this, in the what's coming?
Income independence is the key. Okay. Which is you don't, for first and foremost, you can't really rely on anybody else. Like, again, this whole thing we're talking about with the government, like not being able to trust what they're doing. Just look at the FDA. Holy cow. Nothing they've done has been for the good of mankind, for the most part, as far as what they approve and what they don't. Food and drug, you name it, right? But uh, if you don't have independence in your income, then you don't have control over what's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't have a savings. I mean, literally, most people are sitting on 3 months worth of savings, maybe less, maybe a little bit more. But take off a year, 2 years, they couldn't survive past 2 years on their savings. The average person couldn't. Even if you do a little bit extra to pump it up, sell everything that you own, you might be able to get by for maybe 6 months or a year. But the housing rates are increasing. They're not dropping. Landlord rents, they increase, they don't drop. So if you don't have income independence, you're going to be in a bad way. So the first tenet of this process is, number one, pull the veil off your eyes to understand what's really going on. That we're living in the matrix, right? Like, pull that stuff off your eyes. Then we have to start figuring out, like, how do we create income channels that are immune? Like I mentioned, network marketing, for example. Anything that's got recurring or residual income attached to it is what you're going to want to push yourself into. Auto ships, supplement offers, those types of things. And I would even say becoming an influencer in some ways, like sharing your personal story online, because there's advertising revenue you can make from that. It's not just, selling. Sometimes you could sell other people's products. Affiliate businesses are great because someone else has the product, and what they're looking for is, an army of salespeople that they can pay a commission so they don't have to advertise. So there's a lot of people that I know personally, friends of mine, that make $100,000, $200,000 a month just selling other people's stuff through affiliate marketing. And it's all done through YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, just doing videos. And it's not like infomercial style, like, hey, look at this quilt. It's not like that, right? It's not like this, home shopping network stuff. It's just the way that they do it. They recommend products because they've got a lot of trust and respect from their audience. So that will be the first thing, is building out that side hustle so that you've got that recurring income. It's not, actually, you know what? Scrap metal is one of the businesses we're going to be getting into. I'm going to be teaching people how to do that. I partnered up with someone recently. There's so much recyclables and scrap metal. I didn't realize how much money you can make going out there and picking up other people's junk. Shocking to me, and you would never know it, because there are people dressed down, but they're making $1 million. Some of these people are making nearly $1 million a year.
But so why is this stuff immune from AI 2027?
Well, AI is not going to be, going around and picking up carburetors and scrap metal and stuff like that. I mean, it might help. You might be able to get a robot to help out a little bit, but it's got to negotiate, right? Because there's a bit of a negotiation. It's a business to business. It's a peer-to-peer kind of thing. Like, you do business with people that you know, like, and trust. That's just one of the aspects of it, right? But there's a lot of these little iceberg kind of businesses that are going to be immune from AI disruption, at least for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes maybe forever, but for a long time. I think the biggest thing that people can do is invest in hard assets right now. Bitcoin is a good example. Like, Bitcoin right now it's not at all-time highs, but it's pretty high. It can still go a little higher before it, pulls back, and then, it's just going to keep on going up. It's going to be worth $1 million at some point. But you can take a loan against your Bitcoin. I don't know if anyone knows that. It's really interesting, and it's a really low risk loan. And when I say loan, I mean, you don't go to the bank, you don't ask for forgiveness, you don't take a blood test, you don't put your home on the market. There's no your Bitcoin is your collateral. If you can own half a Bitcoin, if everyone could just work right now hard to invest in owning half a Bitcoin, free and clear, then you could retire off of the earnings from your Bitcoin if you know how to do it. There's a thing called infinite banking that once you get to a certain level of income, you hear about this thing called infinite banking. Infinite banking's idea is that debt is not taxable. So the wealthy, ultra wealthy people, they have the most debt, which is shocking. People are like, oh, there's wealthy people, they must have their house paid off. No, they carry the most debt. Everything they buy is on debt because they can't be taxed. So they roll one house debt into another house debt, and then they run it, that's called a 1031 exchange. they never pay taxes on anything. And then we get all upset saying the rich are evil people. No, they know how to play the game. Like, that's it, right? And because you need to be able to play the game at that point. Otherwise, 50% of your money is going to the government for doing nothing. Your silent partner who gives you no feedback and does nothing to help you will take your money if you're not careful. So infinite banking can be done inside of crypto, and decentralized exchanges, centralized finances have been scaring the bejesus out of the banks. BlackRock and these other big companies have been just putting so much Bitcoin and so much, other cryptos on their balance sheets. It's never happened like that in the past. It's a crazy phenomenon. And so I think right now there's a really big opportunity coming for people to create generational wealth that they can put that, by the way, your Bitcoin stuff, you can put that inside of a trust. You can put it inside of a foundation. It's already a non-taxable entity and has a lot of liquidity opportunities. Trump recently announced that he's going to make all the IRAs out there available, so you don't have to just trade stocks and stuff. You can trade crypto in your IRAs. He's going to make that like a blanket policy. Smart, but he's doing it because he's also making sure that the government has a certain amount of crypto backing as well, because they're going to implode the dollar. It's going to happen. We've been on that path for a while. They're going to implode it. They're going to replace it with a digital currency. They're probably going to implode that too, and then they're going to back our currency by gold, like it was originally, right? So there's this really weird game that's going on behind the scenes, and hopefully I don't disappear tomorrow because I'm letting all the cat out of the bag. So if some crazy accident happens to me next month, you heard it first here. It's because I know too much.
So I was going to ask if someone wanted to take the first steps of breaking out of the 9-to-5 and future-proofing their livelihood, what the first one thing they should do right now is. But it sounds like you just may have answered that, right? Which is get half a Bitcoin. Is that your
It's
play?
the first step. It's really the first step, is to understand what they call DeFi, decentralized finance. Like, understand this stuff. It's really, really important. I've got a friend of mine that he's probably in his mid 80s. He's thinking, I don't have a whole lot of time left, but he's also now starting to invest in Bitcoin because he realizes whatever he's got in retirement, it might not be there tomorrow because he's got all this stuff tied up in these, different types of mutual funds, and what happens when the funds drop out because they're all backed by stocks, and what happens when the stocks start to back down. Like, you lose half of your retirement in an instant, right? These companies go out of business, declare bankruptcy. Bitcoin is not going to declare bankruptcy. It's not an entity. There's no human error in it, right? I'm kind of mentioning Bitcoin, but I also mean there's different types of cryptos too. It's not just Bitcoin is the only one, but I would definitely recommend that everyone hold at least 25 to 50% of their financial assets in Bitcoin, at least right now. That's what I'm doing, not financial advice. But if you follow the advice of the financer people, you're probably not in a good way anyway. So, make your own mind up. But you need to learn the stuff so you can actually make better decisions. So that's number one. And then protect the wealth that you have, which means if you carry a lot of debt on your house or whatever that might be, you need to get rid of the debt to a degree. Like, let me kind of reframe that, because that kind of goes counter to what I was just saying about, the rich carry a lot of debt. Think about this for a second. If we hyperinflate the currency and a loaf of bread is not, $3 anymore, but it's like $30, but you have a loan on your house right now, your loan doesn't increase in value. So one of my thoughts is, while people still have jobs, while people still have credit, there's good debt and there's bad debt. Bad debt is, I can't pay my mortgage, I can't pay it, they're going to come repossess it. Good debt is the amount of money that, when the currency inflates, the amount of money that your loan's going to be for is going to be so small that you can pay it off really quick. So in tangent with the Bitcoin scenario, one of the thoughts that I'm actually doing is, I'm having the cryptocurrency, which is also growing in value, and I'm taking out debt on certain other things. So that debt stays the same as the cryptocurrency goes up in value. I'm paying that debt off and owning that thing free and clear. Okay, which is really, I think it's counterintuitive. Now, if you do an adjustable rate, even if you do adjustable rate mortgage, for example, they're not going to adjust your rate up to 100% interest. It's just not going to happen. But you have to have enough in reserves to make sure that you don't not make your payments.
Right.
I mean, so it's a bit of a weird kind of scenario, but you can use this very easily within the crypto space, where if you take a Bitcoin loan out, for example, it's 70% to 60% of the loan to value. So you're not going to, it has to drop down considerably in order for you to like liquidate, what you have in your Bitcoin holdings. But you can operate off of that money. So for example, maybe you bring in, say as a family, you bring in $10,000 a month. What I'm recommending to my family to do is don't go out and pay your mortgage and everything else with that $10,000 a month. Go buy $10,000 in Bitcoin and then take a 70% loan against that Bitcoin, which means you get $7,000 back in cash, then pay your mortgage with that. But what you're doing is you're acquiring as much crypto and Bitcoin along the way as you can, right? And worst case scenario, Bitcoin drops, they leverage out your position, they wick you out, done. You didn't have it in the first place because you already took your money back out. But if you can learn to live with 30% less income than you have right now, you've got the chance to build generational wealth. Because when Bitcoin hits $250,000, because right now at the time we're doing this recording, it's about 115,000, something like that, right? When it hits 230, 250, you could literally sell your Bitcoin and you can have the same amount that you took a loan against free and clear. So there's a lot of really interesting things that you can do with that. That's just like the first step in understanding decentralized finance, and
so
why we don't need banks.
that's included in the end of employment. That's
Some
like
of it,
an
yeah.
example.
Some of that's in there, and also protecting it, like understanding like what trusts really are, how to put the right trust together so you can put your property into it. Make sure that those trusts go on past you. It's what's called a Rockefeller trust, for generational wealth. What you can donate. What you can't donate. Like there's a lot of really good things that people do with money that doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be all like, I'm going to get rich and I'm going to keep all the money and drive Lamborghinis and whatever else. Like there's a lot of, all the billionaires people look at and they're like, oh, these people are so terrible. They're making money off of everyone else's suffering. They also donate the most amount of money to like humanitarian efforts in the entire world, So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, maybe it's karma. They're trying to clean their karma if they've done something that's not not right.
Well, if they have that much money, they've done something that's not right.
Or at least someone underneath them that they've
Yeah.
employed has done something that probably is not right?
So
Yeah,
the
this-
website for that is endofemployment.com.
Yeah.
That's all one word, and we'll have that in the show notes. And then also we talked about 360 Summits, which is at 360, the number is 360, summits.com, also one word. Both of those links will be in the show notes. George, it's been thrilling to go on this ride with you, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where we're going to go. And I'll drop one last thing in everyone's mind right now, which is we talked a lot about the doom and gloom of things like getting a little bit scary and everything else. Number one, if you're prepared for this, you're going to make it out the other side way, way better than you went into it. Okay, if you're prepared, number one. Number two, there's going to be, or there could be, some really amazing advancements coming out of AI. Imagine curing cancer, curing all disease, taking life expectancy from 100 years to 200 years, 150 years. This is all going to happen as well. So there's some benefits. It's not all like doom and gloom and AI is the devil. It's not like that, right? It's just how we use AI is, we have to be careful about that.
Yeah.
Right. That's the important part about it.
Yeah.
So,
no,
hopefully this was helpful to
that's the key
everybody.
message of the show in general is tech is neither good nor bad. It's how you use it, and you've got to use it with some intention. So
Exactly.
yeah. And this is only the second show in which we've gotten anywhere into depth on AI, which is odd given how significant it is, but it's also hard to get people who can talk about it, who aren't coders, you know what I mean? So yeah, George, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your thoughts. And I wish you nothing but the best in the coming apocalypse.
All right. We'll be there together in the bread lines. All right. Thanks, R.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthier Tech Podcast. Remember to check the show notes for all the links and resources we mentioned today. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or on the platform of your choice. And if you're ready to take control of your tech environment, head over to shieldyourbody.com to explore science-backed tools that help you live a safer, healthier life in today's connected world.